Hi, I'm Peter Capaldi. I play the Doctor, and you're watching EMS Productions.
Hello everyone and welcome along to the start of my 3 days of celebration of 50 years of the Cybermen, because tomorrow is exactly 50 years since the first episode of The 10th Planet aired, where at the end of that first episode we see the Cybermen for the very first time. So I thought, why not, let's have a little celebration, a little party kind of thing, and look back at some of the best cyber stories in various different ways. So there's 3 videos coming up over the next 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today, as you can see from the title, I'm going to be picking out and telling you my top 5 cyber stories, with a couple of surprises at 4 and 5 I think you might find. And then tomorrow I will be reviewing a cyber story, won't tell you which one yet, and on Sunday there will be something with a bit of a musical flavour, so I hope you're looking forward to all these videos. And let's get straight in with the cyber ranking of number 5. So yes, number 5 is Revenge of the Cybermen. Yeah, it actually is Revenge of the Cybermen. I know, it's probably not one of the best cyber stories, but I just have a real soft spot for it. I mean, I'm 90% sure it's the first classic Who story I ever saw, so automatically I'm kind of biased positively towards it, really. I'm sorry. But I do just enjoy it. I know the Cybermen don't even turn up to episode 3, but I just like it. I mean, what's his name? Oh, I can't remember his name. What's he with the black and the white, and he's the dodgy guy for the first 2 or 3 episodes. I like his character as well. He's really good. And obviously we've got one of the best TARDIS teams-ish with Tom, Sarah, Tom. Sorry, I'm losing my mind at the moment. We've seen. I mean, the Doctor, Sarah, and Harry. That was who I was aiming for. They're one of the best TARDIS teams, so it's great to have them in the story. And then the Cybermen fighting for this planet, the planet Voga or something, the planet of gold. We see all the Cybermen's have developed this proper sort of fear of gold by this point, slightly randomly. I mean, I don't think they had it in the invasion, and suddenly, 7 years later, they're allergic to gold. What is this? So it's probably more on my list just because I kind of have a soft spot for it. But whatever, it's my list. I can choose whatever I like. So I chose Revenge of the Cybermen. Now in at number 4, another probably slightly surprising choice of Army of Ghosts / Doomsday, the only new Who story on this list. There you go, spoiler alert. So you can probably guess the next 3 now, I imagine. Well, maybe. We'll see. But Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, I do quite like. I mean, I really like this story as a story. I'm not. It's quite good with the Cybermen as well, which is why I've included it on here. It's kind of combining a really great story plus quite good Cybermen in it. And I thought, why not? I'll put it on person. Yeah, I know it gets a lot of hate, this 2-parter, but I love the Daleks versus Cybermen. It's such a great sort of iconic moment, I think, to have the 2 greatest villains, greatest enemies in Doctor Who ever, to be fighting off each other, and it's just a good, with the Cybermen sort of coming through from the parallel world with this ghost shift idea, coming in as ghosts, and then suddenly at the end of the episode they're fully coming through and appearing in this whole army of Cybermen ready to take over the Earth. I really like that as sort of that plot line of the story. Obviously they're only really prominent in the first part because kind of the Daleks come and take over in episode 2, or Doomsday even, and whole Rose is dying and leaving and all that bit. But overall I do think the Cybermen work really well in that first part with their sort of secretly coming through and all this kind of thing. And then they have some great little bit of banter with the Daleks, all this sassiness between the Daleks and the Cybermen. Who knew the Daleks and the Cybermen had some sass? It's great to see. So it's another bit of a guilty pleasure kind of episode, but I do really enjoy the Cybermen in this story and the story as a whole. I mean, the whole Rose plotline I really like. Yes, it's a bit over the top with the whole Daleks shooting at Cybermen and vice versa, and the whole taking over the Earth and everything, and then all getting blown back into the void at the end. It's all a bit over the top, overblown plot, but it's a bit of fun. I enjoy it. I love a good overblown finale. Just look at Stolen Earth / Doomsday. Not Doomsday, Journey's End even. Number 3. Let's get on with this. Number 3. So, coming in at number 3, we have Earthshock. I finally have the DVD cover to show you. I didn't for the first 2. Oh dear, that's not good reflection. But no, we're starting off with Earthshock at number 3. It's a really good story. I know it's really highly rated and everything by fans in general because it's just good. I love the introduction of the Cybermen is so absolutely perfect. I mean, I have a feeling it was spoiled beforehand, I can't remember, but if it wasn't, if you're watching that sort of at the time and didn't know they were coming up, having not had the Cybermen for 7 years, and then suddenly at the end of the first episode, out of the blue, these Cybermen appear, it's just such a brilliant cliffhanger, and so perfectly worked for the end of episode 1. I think that is a great piece of writing to do all that. That really, really works very well. And then it's just a really sort of interesting storyline. I think the Cybermen are actually quite a good villain in this story, whereas in some stories they're a bit not doing too much. Dark Water / Death in Heaven would be a nice example. But in this story it does feel like they're really doing stuff, and they're a real threat with their attempts to blow up the Earth and everything. And just the whole story, I think, works really well around that, and all the stuff in the caves and everything, that's all very atmospheric and very sort of sinister and creepy. And the stuff in the first episode where the Doctor's trying to defuse that bomb, I think it is, isn't it? And all the tension and the nerves around that, I think all these different bits are just written really well to create a really, really good overall story, personally. And I know quite a lot of people agree it's generally sort of, would we say the second best Fifth Doctor story behind Caves of Androzani? Let me know, because I haven't seen Caves of Androzani forever, but I'm fairly sure it's sort of general opinion is it's the second best Peter Davison story, and I'd probably agree. Now, coming in at number 2, you thought this might have been number 1, I'd imagine, but at number 2 it is Tomb of the Cybermen. Yeah, that spectacular story from 1967 or 8, I can't even remember. One or the other. 1967, there we go. I'm used to this. Well, what more, I mean, this story has been covered to death by so many people. I mean, there's so much to love about it. All the stuff in the cyber caves, that so iconic shot of the sort of cyber catacomb things where they're all frozen away, and then them all with the brilliant background music of them all getting down off that and walking over and stuff. That's all such iconic imagery of the Cybermen. And then that shot at the end of the first, or is it second episode, with just the cyber leader's face. It works so brilliantly. I really think that's the sort of stuff that makes this story. It's again a bit like Earth, those early scenes in Earthshock, very, very atmospheric, and just creates a real tension around it. Sort of the Cybermen are a real sinister threat in this story, I think, which is always what makes it so, could really make a story when you've got an actual real threat, rather than just some villains standing around looking like they're doing something when they're not really, like the Daleks in a lot of stories written by Moffat. Generally, it's not so great, ignoring the last recent one. But we're not getting into that. This is cyber time. It's cyber time. So that's what makes the story great. Well, as I said, I think some of the set designs are really the strongest points. All this advanced technology, and then these catacombs, the nice cyber logo and stuff, all creates a really good atmosphere around that. And then just the whole plot line of these Cybermen who have been disappeared from the universe for centuries, and then they sort of actually been uncovered in kind of a plan, being uncovered in underneath in these tombs, finally being unfrozen, and suddenly the Cybermen are going to take over and everything. And all of that combines, I think, to make a great story. But now it's time for number 1. And I'm fairly sure you'll know what it is. I mean, let me know if you didn't know what this number 1 is, because, I mean, it would seem a little bit disappointing to leave this one out, I think, because it's so good, in my opinion. It's not the 10th planet. It is, of course, The Invasion. 8 parts of spectacular and glorious Patrick Troughton story from 1968, probably, I think. What is there to say about this story? I can't sort of tell you how much I love this story enough, really. The Cybermen don't even turn up for 4 episodes, but it doesn't matter. It's still so perfectly worked. And it brings in Unit for the first time, which is, I love the Pertwee era, so this kind of already biases me towards it because I love the Pertwee era, so having Unit and everything involved already improves the story for me. I think the Brigadier getting involved, and then all the secrecy around this company, International Electromatics, that we don't really know what's going on for 4 episodes, and then to have this Cyberman appear at the end of it, suddenly jumping out of this kind of cloth sheeting stuff at the end, I think is brilliant, and a brilliant work. Obviously it has arguably some of the most iconic shots in Doctor Who history of the Cybermen outside St Paul's Cathedral, which they didn't do a very good job of recreating in Death in Heaven. It just doesn't work, so I don't know why they bothered, really. Or was it Dark Water? I can't remember. But they're so iconic in this story, and I think the Cybermen, they're a fairly good threat in this story, as well as I've been talking about the previous stories that I mentioned. They very much kind of feel like a threat. There's so many of them as well. Well, there's meant to be a lot of them. I mean, there's only ever 6 in one shot because there's not enough costumes or CGI, so that's why there's only 6, but it still works really, really well, and just, it doesn't, at times, yes, there's some sort of bits that feel a little bit prolonged, but it's an 8-part story, it's an 8-part epic of like 3.5 hours or something. Is it even 4 hours? Near enough. Actually no, War Games is 4 hours, this must be like 3 hours. So it's, I can't do it justice now. I need to do a proper review video of it. I'm afraid I'm not going to be reviewing it tomorrow. It's not the one I'll be reviewing, but at some point I will, and watch it and go into more detail on it, because I really do think it's such a brilliant episode, and Tobias Vaughan is such a brilliant villain in that story as well. I mean, he's just so sort of sinister and so evil, I think, and then him with Packer, this kind of fiery kid with a gun in his hand wanting to kill everybody he can find, just the dynamic between those two is brilliant as well. And obviously it's got a lot of your classic escape capture, which you get in a lot of sort of, well, frankly, a lot of classic Who, but particularly sort of Troughton stories, I find, because the War Games is obviously about 8 episodes of escape capture, kind of thing, going around in circles a bit, which is kind of what you do when you need to fill 3.5 hours or 3 hours. You kind of just have to do that a bit, but I don't think it sort of it's detrimental to the story. And so overall it just works really well. Obviously I haven't really mentioned Patrick Troughton. How could I not mention Patrick Troughton? Basically the Cybermen are synonymous with the Second Doctor and Patrick Troughton. I mean, they did about 4 different stories with him, I think. The Moon Base, Will in Space, 2 of the Cybermen and the Invasion, I think. So 4 whole cyber stories, plus 2 Dalek stories. I mean, he had some great stories. If only we could watch them all. Come on, Philip Morris, find some more stories, please. That'd be nice. So Patrick Troughton's brilliant in all these stories. Both of these stories, he's really, really strong as the Doctor. He's obviously, that's his style, which I probably prefer to the first Doctor. Really, the slightly more light-hearted, comedic, sort of slightly silly, not old man, but silly guy running around a bit. And that great scene of him jumping up and down as the Cybermen are shooting at him and stuff. That's just, those sort of moments are what I love in Doctor Who, I think, really. And so all that stuff just makes it, and clearly I haven't done a very good video of this. I don't think it's my best video. I mean, I'm clearly not very good at justifying my choices, it would seem. But hopefully you can understand my enthusiasm, as job interviewers will say, and whatever, about these episodes. I mean, I just love them. I don't have, my English clearly isn't very good. I don't have enough superlatives to use to describe stories enough. But there you go. So that is my top 5. Well, thank you everyone for watching this video. Hopefully you've made it this far. You wanted to see number 1, you didn't just click, oh there's 5, there's 4, there's 3, 2, 1 like I do sometimes. Please don't do that, watch the whole video. Listen to my rambling explanations for why I think these episodes are good. And let me know your top 5, of course, that's what you got to do. Comment below, let me know your 5 favourite cyber stories, and any that you think are terrible. I think, personally, what do I think is terrible? I don't know really. I guess a lot of the New Who ones aren't any good. Closing Time's pretty average. Nightmare in Silver's also a bit meh, really. The original New Who cyber story, what's it called? Rise of Time and Age of Steel. It's a mixed bag. I don't really like the fact they went, but why did you do another Genesis of the Cybermen? You should have just done why did you have to bring a whole new race of John Lumic Cybermen? Why couldn't we just have normal Cybermen? It took them about 7 years to actually sort of differentiate between the two properly, so that was a bit of a poor route in, I think. Because we didn't need a cyber, you didn't do a Dalek sort of creation story, did you? So why did you need to do Genesis of the Cybermen? I just thought that was a bit annoying. That annoyed me a bit, so that's why I guess I don't like that story so much. And then they just have some other, the next Doctor's pretty naff as well. So just their New Who appearances, I wouldn't say there's been any Cybermen New Who stories that I would call a classic as such. So I hope that we get one soon. Personally, I'd quite like this to be a cyber story in Series 10, because by the time it airs, it'll have been 2.5 years since we last had the Cybermen, and I think that's enough of a rest, personally. I know it's not so many episodes-wise, but personally I think time-wise it's enough, and we shouldn't have the Daleks in the next series, so I think we should have the Cybermen. I don't think you should ever have a series without either. But maybe that's just me, I don't know. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, best episodes, worst episodes, whatever you like to do with the Cybermen. I'll be back tomorrow to review a cyber story. I don't think I'll say which one it is yet. It's not the Invasion, that's all you know. So I'll see you again tomorrow for another video. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.